Digitization is driving disruption and reshaping the future of industries in the globe. Understanding this, the 2017 Interswitch Connect conference brought together stakeholders in the entire digital financial ecosystem to discuss, debate, and evaluate the future of transactions and innovation technology. Giving the opening remarks, the Group Managing Director and CEO of Interswitch, Mr. Mitchell Elegbe, shared briefly the drive towards the conference.
From an Interswitch point of view, it's simple. For us, it is this world we have been trying to create since 2002, when we started the company. It is how do we bring technology to be seamlessly integrated in our lives and in a way that we can facilitate transactions in clear, convenient, and intuitive manner. The idea is you shouldn't think about payment. Do your business and let payment just happen. It should not be seen. That is the kind of disruption we think we need. It is not about the payment, it's about the activity where payment is just an enabler.
Keynote speaker and king of disruption, Mr. Brett King, gave insight into the theme of the conference, the digital transformation imperatives, innovation evolution, or disruptive innovation.
If you take one of the average smartphones that you guys have in your pocket today, maybe a Samsung Galaxy S6 or maybe an earlier iPhone, a HTC or something like this. If you were to take one of these devices and you had a time machine and you went back to 1990, your smartphone that is in your pocket would be representative of a supercomputer that back in 1990 was worth $30 or $40 million. And you carry that around in your pocket today. That's just 30 years ago. Incredible stuff. What do we do with our supercomputers that we have in our pockets? Well, we take selfies and update our Facebook status, of course, right? And WhatsApp. So this technology, as it's impacted our life, it's made some interesting changes. We really have this love of technology that as these new devices come out, we're watching the Apple keynote, we're watching this, but people camp out to get the new iPhones and technologies like that these days. It's pretty crazy. But there's two sides of this. There's the disruptive side of this, which affects employment and affects industries, and there's the personal side of this, particularly the consumption of these technologies. So let's talk about the yin and yang a little bit. When you go back 200 years ago, the most disruptive technology wasn't smartphones, obviously, it was the steam engine. And in 1812, in Britain, the textiles industry was the largest industry. It employed the most people in Britain. The second largest industry was farming and agriculture. In the US, agriculture was the primary employment. But when the steam machine came along, it took people that had trained for 4 or 5 years to learn how to use these weaving looms in the textiles factories and replace them with a child who could operate a steam machine. But some of the biggest disruptive technologies we're just seeing emerge today is the use of two major new technological developments. One is integrating AI into our world through voice interfaces. So this is technologies like Amazon Alexa, Amazon Echo. I'm going to demonstrate that for you later. Or in the future, in about 10 years' time, we'll be wearing smart glasses. So those of you that have glasses on today, right, like me, we may be at a bit of an advantage because we're used to wearing glasses already. But these glasses will present you with data in your head-up display. You'll be able to see information presented just in your field of view. By 2027, we expect that smart glasses will be at the stage of development of where the iPhone was around 2010. These days, it's very common for people to use online ticketing systems to book a flight to go somewhere. So you just get online, you get onto the airline website, and you pick where you want to go to and from, the dates, you pick the class of travel. But in the future, we won't use a web page for doing that. In the future, we'll just say, hey Siri, can you book me a flight to Lagos, Nigeria next Friday? And that's how we'll do it in the future. Now, this might sound like science fiction, but the base technology for doing this we already have today. So the world will be infused with technology. And some of this technology will become quite personalized in that it's going to be integrated into our daily life from a monitoring and a health perspective. Now, there's one advantage Nigeria has in this sense, is that when you're in, say, the United States, if you want to introduce new technologies, like solar technology, for example, you have to convince everyone to move off the old system. But in Nigeria, there's this greenfield opportunity to introduce these new technologies and get adoption very, very quickly, which we don't have in the United States. Manufacturing is no longer going to be dominated by a human workforce. It's going to be dominated by automation. But if you've got a manufacturing industry that needs to be completely retooled, it's going to take you quite some time. We expect, just in solar energy, that globally, by 2030, about 50 million people will be employed in retooling the world from using these wooden poles with electricity wires on them to distributed systems based on solar energy. So this is going to be a massive job creator.
Mr. Mitchell Elegbe and Mr. Brett King speak further on the theme of the conference and how it impacts emerging economies like Nigeria.
Basically saying that as a country, a lot of things need to move faster, and this is not about payments alone. And we decided to look at what area should we touch on that could create this impact. I thought innovation was it. Now we look at innovation, what is the best way to innovate? It could be evolutionary, it could be disruptive. Everybody talks about disruptive innovation, but the sense we get is that people don't really know what that means. So what we did today was to bring experts. Brett King is well known in this area. There are a lot of Nigerians who have very fantastic ideas around innovation. So we brought everybody into a room. Let's have a conversation. Let's discuss, let's explore ideas, and hopefully people will find something useful that they can take away and apply that to grow their businesses or improve their lives in general.
Finally, Brett King emphasized the smart economy that will evolve from artificial intelligence and other tech disruptions. How can Nigeria position itself to take value from this, and even Africa?
Okay, so it's interesting that Brett was talking about smart societies, smart economy. We have Smart Move, which was our idea of how to transform transport. There's smart health. I mean, we've told you these ideas before, but listening to him speak and the insights he brought in basically tells us that there's quite a lot we still can do in that space. How do you create a smart economy? Basically, is to use smart technologies. And in doing that, you need to think about how do you make technology a part of people's lives. You shouldn't think about technology. When you wake up from bed, you don't think about how am I going to wake up. You just wake up and you go about your activities. In the same way, when you are doing transactions, payment should not be something that is a friction. It should just happen without you knowing it. Okay? And that's one way to do that is to use technology to make that happen.
One of the problems with developed economies is they have tons of regulation around how to do things like electricity and banking and telecoms. And so when you try to innovate in those markets, you have to get regulation to change. In these markets where you don't have very developed ecosystems like that, because it's a developing economy, innovation can actually occur far quicker. So M-Pesa is a good example in Kenya for financial inclusion. But solar is another good example. So in Nigeria, we can expect that solar will be massive in terms of energy production, mesh networking in terms of telecoms. We can think of new water treatment systems built on these technologies as well, like nanotechnology. We'll be able to deploy all of these and get these innovations occurring far quicker because there's not the incumbents there trying to stop the innovation from occurring because it will impact their business. Now the one challenge, of course, is Nigeria's got a big oil industry, so solar is potentially seen as a threat. So it'll be interesting to see that in terms of how Nigeria adapts to that. But it's essential for the Nigerian economy to deploy solar and work in tandem. So I think this is part of the evolution that the Nigerian economy has to go through. Because solar could be seen as a competitor for oil, right?
You talked about two things, internet access and mobile technology. as two ways we can build infrastructure for a smart economy. How can we effect this in Nigeria? What are the case scenarios Nigeria can learn from to push this to drive the whole adoption of the disruptive technologies?
So this is where I think really entrepreneurship is critical. You know, I've been approached by people today. They came and saw me speak, and then they've come and they've said, "Can you give me a job?" Right? And my answer to them is, no, I want you to create your own business. I want you to be an entrepreneur. And so that's really, I think, where the opportunity is. If you think about it, you know, 30, 40 years ago, if you wanted to create a business, you had to raise capital, you had to build a factory, you had to employ all of these people. Today, all you need is a smartphone to create your own business. So I think that's really the key opportunity here, is that entrepreneurs need to think about the fact that let's look at the system in Nigeria today, look at the friction that's present, look at where people are frustrated by the way the system works, right? And try to fix that friction by building something on a smartphone. Because even though smartphones haven't got high penetration today in Nigeria, by 2022, 80% of Nigerians will have a smartphone. So that's where the opportunity is, 4 years' time.
Through digital technology, the bedrock of the fourth industrial revolution, Nigeria has a great opportunity to reposition itself to achieve growth by adopting the smart economy. This hinges on effective policies and understanding amongst industry players on leveraging mobile technology and boosting broadband in the country.